Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know what? This is not the movie you think it is, and if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean that you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals. We pick their brain about current products, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to assume that you do, because quite frankly, you're listening right now. And so please keep listening and subscribe. Hit that button, subscribe, give us a little 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, God knows we'd appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, the Blue Sky. We're at a few places. I lose track. But I didn't see. It's for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it. We love it all that much more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that ultimate kindness. Come on by and pay us a visit. You know, it's a beautiful thing when the game gets changed. On this episode, we're talking about a film that played at TIFF. Is now opening in theaters, in Canada and the US, right now, today, tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this. It's called 40 Acres from co-writer director R.T. Thorne. Yet another piece of another quality Canadian filmmaker, and just a film, well, set in Canada, and ashamed to be set in Canada, and I like that. And it's set in a post-apocalyptic world with food scarcity, where a black family of Canadian farmers, descended from American Civil War migrants, defend their homestead against cannibals trying to seize their resources. It's a story we've seen before, but it's flipped on its script. It's flipped on its edge a little bit, with a black female landowner and a indigenous blended family, with Michael Greyeyes, and just it's the traditional kind of siege thriller, but with a lot more nuance and a lot of fresh ideas that we've not seen brought to the table in a very, very, very long time. This is the most engaging piece of comfort food in terms of sort of the horror thriller, that I've seen in quite some time. It's really a damn good movie, and I can't wait for all of you to see it if you haven't seen it already. Like I said, it's called 40 Acres. It is in theaters in the States and here this Friday, July 4th. Happy July 4th to all our American listeners out there. But enjoy our sit down with R.T. Thorne, because we talked about sort of the development of the story, getting this all together, and really sort of crafting a piece of genre cinema that manages to be respectful to the universe and isn't sort of just doing spectacle for the sake of spectacle. This is really a damn good piece of cinema, and I'm so excited for all of you to see it. And I'm so excited as a Canadian too, because that kind of thing is important, at least to me. But go see 40 Acres in theaters now. But first, enjoy our talk with R.T. Thorne, the director of this film, because, like I said, it's a damn good one. R.T., man, just first off, just congrats on a hell of a piece of work, man, and just thank you so much for the time today to talk about it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I mean, I guess the first question is, walk me through, I guess, the origin of wanting to tell this story, because I mean, we've seen it before in similar beats, but there was something about this one that felt very, I guess, respectful is probably the best way to put it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, man. I mean, for me, it started with wanting to sort of tell a story about I suppose my relationship with my mother.
Mm.
My mother's, everything to me. She's, given me a lot of the tools with which I navigate the world with, and a lot of knowledge, And so, and then there was a particular moment in our relationship where um, growth was happening. And, it's that universal conflict.
Yeah.
Previous generation is like telling you this is how the world is. And you're kind of like, maybe, maybe.
Let me figure that out for
Um,
myself. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's something that's universal, but it was just for me, it was about speaking about that moment where you kind of have to break away and figure out your own thing. And literally the line in the movie that Manny says to her, I said that to my mom. So I wanted to talk about that relationship, I think. And then I'm a genre kid, and I love genre, I love thrillers, I love science fiction, and I just thought, if I'm gonna tell that story, it would be fun to tell it in sort of the highest stakes environment that I could imagine, which would, post-apocalyptic world where people are trying to eat you. It's staying out after your curfew isn't just your mom's gonna kill you. It's these
Exactly.
people,
Exactly.
what I'm saying, these people are gonna kill you. So I just thought it would be really unique to sort of mash those two things together and see what's happened. And from this particular lens, a Black and Indigenous family, particularly a Black mother, and a son story, and that would be kind of cool to see.
How important was it for this to have scale? Because I mean, honestly, like we have seen this kind of movie before, and even on an independent scale. I mean, you could have theoretically made the whole movie and not left the farm.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
felt big. This felt bold. How important was it for you to sort of have scope to this universe and scale?
Well, I think it's great. It's a great question because I did really want it to just be about this family and their
Right.
life. I didn't want it to be about like, oh, they got to find the universal seed that, everybody will be able to plant and save the world. It's like I wanted the world to be very grounded, and I just wanted it to be about this family and the decisions that they have to make to survive. But I really appreciate bold cinema and bold cinematic visions, and so I wanted it to be about their decisions, how they survive, but then they're part of a greater community, and so I wanted to be that moment when they left the farm that it would kind of explode into grander stakes, right? And to have that fear of for Hailey, as she's been sequestered in her farm. She hasn't left for years.
Yeah.
So, for her to have to go out and I'm probably giving some stuff away, but for her to go out and have to do what she has to do, um, I wanted to heighten that fear, and have her, explore other territories. And so we found some great locations, and our production designer Peter Costco did a tremendous job of sort of once we got out of the farm of expanding that. And it was just a lot of fun, man. Yeah.
I guess that leads into my next question. Talk to me just about, I guess those first initial meetings with Danielle, because I mean, obviously, she has such gravitas and such power. I mean, whenever she's on the screen, and I mean, I never had really thought of it, but I mean, in watching this, she is very much, I mean, the Black Ripley, the Black sort of Sigourney Weaver, like for the genre, cinema. She is this sort of powerhouse woman who you basically do not want to fuck with.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Danielle's like 5'3",
Yeah,
somewhere, and change, you know what I
yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I'll just let you know, bro, the moment she walked on set and she sat, we were shooting something else. She sat on this log behind me, and I turned around and she was just hunched over and just like, she looked like she had been on this farm, farming the land that I was shooting on for like 18 years. Like she just had that within her. And when she got up, I had like 6'4" grips just stepping aside, like they were scared of her, brother. They were scared of her. So yeah, you're absolutely right. She brought that in, and great references, man. Linda Hamilton in T2, Ripley, Sigourney Weaver. Um, I really wanted to make a character that was just like, you do not F with her. You know what I mean? Like, and then she's a mama bear on top of that. So she's gonna do whatever it takes. And I just wanted that sense from her that you can't mess around with this woman. And she just embodied that fully. It's funny, like I don't think that she's a super fan of some of these genres like I am.
Right.
but she knew what it takes to be a mother. She has a teenage son as well. And so she brought that, and then she projected herself into a place where she's going to make these decisions. She's gonna she's gonna fence off her kids and teach them how to shoot guns and kill people.
Yeah.
So she brought herself to that place, and you can feel it. She doesn't have to say anything. You can feel it in her eyes.
110%, man. And I mean, I gotta ask, like, how hard was it for you to cast Emmanuel? Because obviously, just in talking to you, I can tell you see a little bit of yourself in him.
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. It was, I'll tell you the truth. I wish I could intellectualize it. It's very much a gut thing. You start to see, and we have wonderful talent here in Canada, and especially some talent of color. You see a lot of black actors here. They don't really get a lot of chance to show their range. A lot of times, unfortunately, they're doing some television projects and they only they get the friend role and that kind of thing, and they don't really get a chance to expand and show you who they are. So I saw nearly everybody across the country, but there was something about Kataem that he had a real innocence that I thought was important to this character. Manny has been sheltered on this farm, for all of his life, especially once his mother came back from the war, and so he hasn't lived a lot of life, and so I wanted somebody that felt even younger than he might be, you know what I'm saying? But he's still able to carry out the things that he's supposed to do. But almost his age internally is a little bit younger and quite inexperienced. And so he brought that kind of, you know, do well innocence that I loved. And he played it beautifully, I think. He's such a powerhouse actor. He's just and put him up against Danielle. I know it was a big challenge for him, but I think he just allowed himself to be free in the moment and was quite intimidated by Danielle. So that wasn't hard, you know what I mean? But just to let go and let himself be that character, I think he did a wonderful job.
Now, I mean, I got to reference back to something I said earlier, just about this film feeling very respectful. And I mean, in thinking about it, I think this comes down to sort of the action in it,
Mm.
because again, it's one of those things where when the shit hits the fan, I mean, not too much of a spoiler, the shit eventually does hit the fan.
Yes, yes.
Uh, the action never feels like it's spectacle. It never
Mm.
feels gratuitous. How important was it for you to sort of keep that sort of grounded in the genre and the motif that you're playing with? Because I mean, obviously, you could have shoehorned in some special effects and done this and that, and it might have taken us out of the moment, and that never happened.
Sure. I appreciate that, man. It was very important to me. Like I said, I know the premise I'm setting up here. A woman that, basically imprisons her children and forces them to learn to defend themselves, and they have to. And I know that that can go two ways. It can be grounded and feel like this is real life, or it can be kick ass, and we can go
Yeah.
we can go crazy with it, and everybody's having fun killing people. But to me, I wanted to have real stakes. I'm talking about this family surviving. I didn't. I wanted you to question if it was going to happen, and in every moment, I want you to be like, you know, could somebody die here? When something happens to one of the younger siblings, I wanted you to be like, I feel this, you know what I mean? Like, so that was very important to me. And so the treatment of the violence was one that I wanted sort of more matter of fact and less. I didn't want any slow motion during this stuff. I didn't want to make a spectacle of it. I love those movies too. I'm a big
Oh
fan of
yeah,
John
yeah, yeah.
I love John Woo. I love The Raid. You know what I mean? Like I love those movies that play that, but it wasn't right for this film. This film had to be literally about the survival of these people and this family and how they're going to take care of each other. So I wanted the violence to be sparse, and almost like you're observing it, almost like you just saw it happen, for the most part. So thank you for noticing that. It was a
Well,
big
and I
thing.
mean, something else that I appreciated is because this is one of those stories. I mean, I think this is true especially when you're dealing with genre and action and like sort of horror elements, that it's a story that can transcend color boundaries, racial boundaries. It really comes down to the sort of the ideal of family. And I'm curious from your perspective as a filmmaker, what is it about working in genre that allows, I guess, I I mean, I don't want to say the color, I don't want to say, the lens of color because I mean, that's not something you're going to get away from as a filmmaker, but it's one of those things where like if this had been a straight drama, this would have been a very different movie.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I think, look, I think when we talk about it and you see that this is it's a post-apocalyptic film, right?
yeah.
And we're talking about this family in particular surviving, and they're blended Black and Indigenous family. And I think for me, the idea of the historical link to the past of both of these cultures,
Yeah.
uh, both Black and Indigenous people have gone through an incredible amount of trauma as a community, as communities, um, through colonialism. It's, so
Still are, quite frankly, but yeah, it's another story
yeah,
entirely. Yeah.
yeah, and so and it's funny. It's like I had conversations with Michael Greyeyes about this, and he referenced an interview where somebody asked him, in these times right now that feel post-apocalyptic, how do Indigenous people, look to move forward? And his answer was like, essentially, Indigenous people have gone through our apocalypse. We've went through a stage where there was an attempted eradication of us, of our languages, of our culture, of our lives. And then we have lived past that. And now we are in the post-apocalyptic world. And we are, so for him, it was a sense of resilience that his people have gone through something that have now brought them to this. And I think there's something similar that goes on, obviously, with people of African descent. It's the same thing. It's, the slave trade for 400 years. There was an attempted eradication of who we are, and the resilience of these communities has shown that the survival is possible. So for me, when I tell the story of this particular family in the future, and they are the ones that are thriving, and they are the ones that they know their own agricultural practices, so they can work the land very well. I learned a lot about indigenous planting practices, those kinds of things. They're employing those techniques there. The other ways of survival, Hailey is a historian. She's making her children learn about their history, making sure they understand where they come from. Galen is very, for him, it's very important that his daughters speak their native language. They revert to that language when they're in crisis. They
Mhm.
talk in that language. So all of these things are cultural practices that both of these communities have had to rely on through so that they've been able to survive. And I wanted to show that in this film. It's historically informed. It's not about the history, but I wanted those threads to be in this family so you see how they are surviving.
I mean, just put a bow on this, and I mean, I love that idea of history because I definitely think that applies to you just as a filmmaker. Because in watching it, it definitely felt like you were a filmmaker who watches films and appreciates films. And I mean, even seeing the icon Grace Jones behind you, you're someone who appreciates sort of history in general when it comes to pop culture and sort of telling stories. What were the movies as a kid that sort of had the light bulb go off for you and go, you know what, I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, one of my first cinematic experiences was I don't quite recall, but it was E.T. watching E.T.
Nice.
Spielberg. I love how Spielberg, you know, uh, he's always talking about family, and he's always
Yeah,
talking about his broken family. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah,
So
yeah,
many,
yeah.
like ET is a it's a single mom trying to raise these kids, and then there's this huge high concept thing that's happening, but it is really about that family sort of figuring out how to work together and live. And so I love that he brings family as conversations about family and how that works. Let me think. Do the Right Thing is,
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, what's your favorite movie? And they can't pick one. Do the Right Thing is by far my favorite movie. Like, again, a film about community, a film about growth, a film about how to live together, how to move forward together. Um, one that can enrage you, one that can make you sad, one that can make you laugh. I love the humanity that Spike brings in that film.
100%. Yeah.
So those are all sort of elements. I'm a big fan of Bong Joon-ho. The Host was a
Oh
huge
my God. Yeah.
influence on this film as well. Again, about a family sort of in crisis. So yeah, those are touch points for me, and they speak to my heart. And so I wanted to make a film that had thrills, chills, but also had heart.
Well,
Yeah,
man, RT, you've done that and then some. Keep having me, keep making films about family and community, and just you're heading in the right direction. I can't wait for more people to see this. But again, man, just thank you for the work and just thank you again for the time today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you
All
so
right, man.
much.
See you soon.
And by the way, love you got all that physical media behind you. I'm a
Damn
huge
right, man. Damn right. Physical media forever, for sure.
trust me, bro. I got my catalog too, man.
Talk to you again, man.
All right.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.